The house was silent. Too silent. James Whitmore, a billionaire tech CEO used to loud conference rooms and noisy machines, had never known his mansion to be this still. He stepped inside, loosened his tie, and set his briefcase down. But when he turned the corner into the kitchen, everything changed. There, crouched beside the stainless steel dog bowl, was his adopted 7-year-old daughter Ava, her small dark hands scooping chunks of dog food into her mouth, her eyes wide with shame. He froze. He couldn't speak. But then, with crumbs still clinging to her trembling lips, Ava whispered something that shattered him to his core. "I thought you'd be proud I didn't waste your money on real food." That was the moment everything he thought he knew about himself, fatherhood, and love collapsed. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, share with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe our channel Kindness Talks for more real-life inspired emotional stories. James Whitmore wasn't a cruel man. He was driven, sharp, respected by the world, and feared in boardrooms. At 43, he was the youngest self-made billionaire in his state, an inventor of revolutionary smart prosthetics. But his greatest invention had also cost him his marriage and, for a long time, any chance of being a father. Until 2 years ago, it was at a charity gala for displaced children when he first met Ava. She was 6, shy, and sitting under the dessert table. The other kids laughed, ran around, took sweets, but she hid with a tiny toy piano in her lap. She wasn't like the others. She didn't demand attention. She didn't even speak much. But when James saw her, he didn't see color or poverty. He saw the silence he'd felt his entire life. He adopted her within weeks, stunning the tabloids. Billionaire adopts black girl from shelter. The headlines read. Critics whispered about motives. But James wasn't listening. For the first time in decades, he wasn't working late. He was learning lullabies, braiding curly hair, attending school plays. Or so he thought. As time went on, deadlines returned, his startup boomed globally, and slowly, unknowingly, James started slipping away again. Ava noticed. Her bedtime stories became a tablet in her lap. Her art stuck on the fridge without acknowledgement. Her daddy, "Look at me," turned to silence. She never complained. Not even when the housekeeper quit. Not even when she had to microwave meals for herself. Not even when she got sick and no one noticed for 3 days. Because Ava had learned one thing from years in the system: love always leaves. That night, when James found her eating the dog food, wasn't the first time she'd done it. She'd been doing it for weeks. After all, the fancy fridge was locked. James had installed a security system to protect premium ingredients used for his private chef. The chef hadn't come in 2 weeks. The groceries were online deliveries, sorted into coded cabinets. Ava had no access. She didn't know the PIN. But she did know that the dog food wasn't locked. She also knew that Daddy had said, "Don't waste money, be smart." So she was being smart. What broke James wasn't the act. It was the reasoning behind it. When he asked her why she hadn't told him she was hungry, why she didn't just call, she looked up with eyes too old for her age and said, "Because you're busy saving people, Daddy. I didn't want to break your big mission." That night, James sat alone in his study replaying those words. He stared at his awards, his honorary degrees, his company's ads showing prosthetic limbs hugging children, but he had missed the child in his own house. The next day, he cleared his schedule. Not for a day, not for a week, forever. He shut down his board meetings, appointed a CEO, transferred majority control. The media exploded. Tech titan steps down overnight, they reported. But James didn't explain, because he was already home, watching cartoons with Ava, burning pancakes, getting syrup on his 10,000 suit, and smiling more than he had in years. Months passed. Ava slowly began speaking more. She returned to drawing. She laughed again. She gained weight, healthy, radiant. Her hair bounced in curls, her eyes began to shine. One Sunday afternoon, James took her to a small, community park, not one of his luxury estates or the VIP playgrounds the rich reserved, just a regular park with swings and dusty grass. They sat on a bench as Ava watched a group of girls play. She hesitated, then asked, "Daddy, do you think they'll like me?" James replied gently, "Sweetheart, the right people will love you, not for what you wear or where you come from, but for who you are. And you are extraordinary." She smiled, then leaned her head on his shoulder and whispered the words that sealed their story forever. "I never thought someone like you would love someone like me." Tears welled in his eyes, but he didn't let them fall. Because from that day forward, James Whitmore vowed to show Ava every single day just how deeply, completely, and fearlessly he did. Sometimes the richest hearts lie behind the poorest eyes. And sometimes love is not loud or flashy. It's a quiet little girl who eats dog food not out of need, but out of respect for the man she loves. Never be too busy to hear the silence of someone who looks up to you, because one day their silence might be louder than any scream.